Jameis Winston, Justin Fields, Geno Smith, Jacoby Brissett, J.J. McCarthy, Tua, Bryce Young, Trevor Lawrence,
Louis,
C.J. Stroud.
I'll take C.J. Stroud.
Shedeur Sanders, was he great? Played good enough.
Yeah.
And they just played good enough where you let them hang around, and you hate that as a coach. You're sitting there going, guys, let's go, let's go. All of a sudden, it's the fourth quarter, and this game is tight. Cleveland is gaining confidence as this thing goes on.
Shedeur Sanders is certainly a candidate, at minimum, for the play to win the game. But to your point earlier, this is now the fourth straight road loss for the Steelers in Cleveland. That's their longest.
The locker room was buzzing with one simple plan. Take this game, wrap up the division, and start preparing for what comes next. Pittsburgh rolled into Cleveland carrying all that confidence like they'd already won. Everything was lined up just right. Handle business tonight, pop the champagne, wake up tomorrow as division champs. The math couldn't have been cleaner.
They kind of fell on the same line of thinking that the Packers did. We'll just throw everything at them and see if we can muster effort to win without it.
Still as confident as ever that you get the record next week?
Absolutely. Why shouldn't I be?
What game through?
4 more quarters, 60 more minutes, however you want to draw it up. But
Meanwhile, Cleveland got treated like they weren't even really there. Just another name on the schedule, another box to check off before the real season started. Most people figured this was already over before kickoff. But here's the thing about football that catches everyone off guard. It doesn't care what you think is supposed to happen.
A lot of credit. Shedeur Sanders, was he great? Played good enough.
Yeah.
And they just played good enough where you let them hang around, and you hate that as a coach. You're sitting there going, guys, let's go, let's go. All of a sudden, it's the fourth quarter, and this game is...
What went down wasn't some wild shootout or highlight reel explosion. This was way more uncomfortable than that for Pittsburgh. Picture watching your plans fall apart in slow motion while someone else stays perfectly calm. That's exactly what Cleveland did. They methodically picked apart every assumption while Shedeur Sanders stood in the middle of it all, looking like he'd been doing this for years.
When you let go of an opportunity like that, you clinch. How difficult is it to bounce back? You got one more shot. I mean, it's not difficult. That's our job, playing all 17.
The real action was happening where nobody was really looking. Sure, Aaron Rodgers had all the cameras and playoff conversations, but underneath all that noise, something way more interesting was building. See, when you give a young quarterback enough time to settle in, everything shifts. He stops worrying about making mistakes and starts focusing on making plays.
Do everything he could to get away from Myles Garrett, but your defense kept him out of the end zone. What can you say about their standout performance today at home?
The defense is great. I know a couple weeks they had something to prove, but I feel like they stamped it. They got back to who they...
Cleveland didn't just survive this night. They completely flipped who was supposed to be in control. They turned all that Pittsburgh confidence into genuine concern without ever having to shout about it. Before we keep going with this story, do me a favor and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel too. We break down the real football stories that get buried under all the headlines every single day. Your support keeps these deep dives coming and helps us tell these stories the right way.
Gives you that confidence you guys are really able to break the shit next week?
Because we've done it all season. We've handled adversity well, and we had to play our best ball. Yeah, we did, other than today.
Pittsburgh walked in thinking they already owned this game. You could see it everywhere. How they moved, how they talked, how they approached every single snap like it was just a formality. The strategy was textbook simple. Keep things under control. Don't do anything stupid. Let experience handle the rest. On paper, it looked bulletproof.
I'm pulling for Shedeur Sanders. I'll tell you, they have been through 4 number-1 quarterbacks drafted, not to mention Watson, who they brought over. None of them have worked. None of them so far. So I'm saying to Cleveland, I hope this is your answer sheet, so it's over with. You got your quarterback. This guy, last week, did things that were impressive. He had that it factor, making deep throws, moving out Howie, the long one down to the sideline while he was sprinting out to the 1-yard line. Handled the blitz well, handled it all well. This 49er team, the only thing that's going to help equalize this is that stinking weather. It is freaking cold in Cleveland, rainy, windy off that lake. Hello, folks.
Cleveland was dealing with injuries piling up, depth charts full of question marks, and absolutely zero respect from anyone. The weather was nasty, the field was a mess, and the expectations were underground. All Pittsburgh needed to do was play mistake-free football and walk out with division hats. But games aren't played on paper, are they? Right from the start, something felt different. Cleveland's defense came out hitting like they had something to prove. Pass rush was getting home, coverage was suffocating, and suddenly Pittsburgh looked rushed on every throw. The timing that had been automatic for weeks started breaking down. Every single snap made things tighter. Every third down got more intense. Cleveland didn't need explosive plays to change this game. They needed to believe they belonged, and that belief started spreading like wildfire. From the defense to the sideline, then straight into every huddle. Shedeur Sanders never tried to be the hero. Never forced throws that weren't there. Never let the moment get bigger than the game. He stayed patient, trusted what they'd practiced, and kept the offense moving forward 1 yard at a time. That steady energy took over the entire team. Pittsburgh expected Cleveland to fight for a while, then eventually fold. They expected mistakes, panic, and all the things that happen to teams with nothing to lose. But the longer Cleveland hung around, the heavier everything got for the Steelers. That's how momentum shifts. Not with chaos, but with control. Not with big plays, but with precision. By the time Pittsburgh realized this wasn't going according to their script, Cleveland had already started taking over their game. This wasn't about luck or weather conditions. This was about preparation, meeting the perfect opportunity at exactly the wrong time for Pittsburgh. This was Cleveland remembering who they really are when everything matters. Shedeur Sanders didn't walk into this game trying to be somebody he wasn't. And that's exactly why everything started tilting Cleveland's way. He knew what this moment required from the very first snap. Protect the football, stay on schedule, let the defense do their thing. Take what the defense gives you, and don't get greedy. This wasn't about making highlight reels or getting social media talking. This wasn't about threading needles just to prove you could do it. This was survival football played the right way, from start to finish. Cleveland leaned into discipline early and often. Field position battles mattered. Grinding out tough yards mattered. Making smart decisions when things got messy mattered most of all. Even punting felt like part of the strategy, instead of giving up. Every possession ended clean, and that calm approach spread through the entire team like electricity. To people watching at home, it might have looked boring, but to everyone on that Cleveland sideline, it felt like they were in complete control. That's how confidence builds when nobody's looking. You glance around the huddle and realize you're not just surviving anymore. You're competing. You belong in this fight. The Browns weren't just hanging around, they were settling in for the long haul. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh kept leaving opportunities on the field. A missed read here, a stalled drive there. Nothing exploded at once, but nothing clicked clean either. When you're facing a defense as good as Cleveland's, you won't afford to waste early chances. When you don't land the first punch, doubt starts creeping into everything. Cleveland felt it happening. You could see it spreading across the Pittsburgh sideline. Every defensive stop built more belief. Every incomplete pass from Rodgers made the moment heavier for the Steelers. This game was shifting snap by snap. Everyone could feel it, except maybe Pittsburgh. The Browns weren't supposed to be mentally locked in like this. Everyone figured they'd be thinking about vacation plans and what happens next season. Instead, they looked comfortable in a dogfight. Comfortable playing ugly football in terrible conditions. Comfortable making this as difficult as possible. The real turning point wasn't some touchdown or turnover. It was time itself. The longer this game stayed close, the more it favored Cleveland. That's football wisdom that gets preached everywhere for good reason. Herm Edwards said it perfectly when he talked about how dangerous it gets when you let a team hang around. Coaches hammer this point every week in every meeting room across the league. Once you hit the fourth quarter, talent differences disappear. The noise gets deafening. Pressure flips completely, and suddenly the team that was supposed to win starts playing scared. That's where Shedeur Sanders showed why this moment matters for everything going forward. He didn't rush throws or force passes into coverage that wasn't there. He didn't chase the big moment or try to do too fast. He let the defense lead the way and let the clock work in their favor. When Cleveland finally found their defensive rhythm, it felt completely earned. Every yard had meaning. Every completion served a purpose. This wasn't playground football. This was grown man football, and it shook Pittsburgh to their core. You could see frustration building on the Steelers' sideline. They expected Cleveland to fold under pressure, and Cleveland refused to cooperate. Pittsburgh tried everything they could think of. Quick slants, deep shots, everything in between. Nothing worked. Cleveland's defense wouldn't blink. Denzel Ward almost ended everything with an interception that would have been on highlight reels forever. The goal line stands were absolutely brutal. 4th down after 4th down, and every miss felt heavier than the one before. Pittsburgh wasn't just losing points anymore, they were losing control of their own season. This is exactly the type of game that defines a rookie year. It separates the real ones from everyone else. It shows who can stay calm when everything gets tight and tense. If you're impressed with Shedeur's composure, drop SS 100% in the comments. Let everyone know you see the growth and respect how he handled this pressure. The same situations kept coming up, and Cleveland kept answering every single time. Shedeur Sanders didn't need to dominate the stat sheet or make SportsCenter highlights. He needed to be steady and reliable. And steady beats nervous every time when December rolls around. Expecting him to be perfect was impossible from the start. This game was never about proving he was something he wasn't ready to be. This was about proving he belonged in this moment, on this stage, with everything tight and intense. And that's exactly what Shedeur Sanders accomplished. He didn't look overwhelmed or rushed. At times, he actually looked more composed than the veteran on the other sideline, who seemed completely lost. And hanging over everything like a storm cloud was Myles Garrett's presence. Even without setting sack records, he changed how Pittsburgh had to operate on every single play. You could see it in their formations, their protection schemes, the hesitation before every snap. Pittsburgh built their entire game plan around surviving one-man, quick releases, extra protection, tight ends, staying home to help block. That level of respect tells you everything about Myles Garrett's impact. But Cleveland didn't need just one superstar to win this game. This was teamwork from the opening snap to the final whistle. The defense trusted the offense not to turn the ball over. The offense trusted the defense to keep them in position to win. Shedeur Sanders sat right in the middle of that trust, calmly running the offense exactly how it needed to be run. He wasn't freelancing or trying to be creative. He wasn't panicking when things got messy. He managed the game precisely how the situation demanded. When time finally expired, the scoreboard showed 13-6. Ugly numbers, low scoring, nothing that would make highlight packages. But the story behind those numbers was completely different. Cleveland didn't just win a football game. They took confidence straight from a team that expected to walk out wearing division champion gear. Pittsburgh didn't technically lose the division that night, but they lost something equally important: momentum. And momentum means everything when January football starts. Losing momentum to a team with a losing record hits different than other losses. It sticks with you. Herm Edwards made it crystal clear during the post-game show. This was a terrible loss for Pittsburgh, not because it ended their season, but because it exposed serious flaws. It showed the entire league what happens when explosive plays disappear, and there's no backup plan ready. You saw it with their receivers struggling to create separation against tight coverage. When things went sideways, there wasn't a quick answer or counterpunch ready. That's dangerous at this point in the season when every weakness gets exploited. For Cleveland, heading into a must-win finale against Baltimore, this game wasn't validation because it was perfect. It was validation because it was earned the hard way. In bad weather, in terrible conditions, grinding out every yard. Shedeur Sanders played well enough to win, and sometimes that's all you need in this league. Quarterbacks don't have to dominate every snap to be effective. They need to understand what the moment requires, and this moment didn't overwhelm him at all. He looked comfortable with chaos swirling around him, comfortable with pressure closing in from every direction, comfortable letting the game come to him instead of forcing things. That's why people are calling this a signature win. Not because of statistics or headlines, but because of visible growth. This was a young quarterback managing high pressure against a veteran legend with the entire season on the line. And he never flinched or showed any. Now Pittsburgh heads into Week 18 with absolutely everything hanging in the balance. Baltimore is waiting for them. A rivalry game with real hatred, a physical, Derrick Henry type of game. And suddenly the pressure feels heavier than it has all season long. Because now there's doubt creeping into that locker room. Now there's film showing exactly how to slow them down. Now there are questions about explosiveness, discipline, an ability to adapt when things don't go according to plan. Pittsburgh is limping into the biggest game of their season because Cleveland refused to just lie down and quit. Cleveland walks away with something more valuable than a win. They have belief now. Belief that their defense can compete with anyone in this league. Belief that their quarterback can manage chaos without losing games. Belief that they're not just spoilers anymore, but legitimate competitors. And that realization makes them dangerous for everyone in the AFC North moving forward. Football seasons change on moments exactly like this one. Quiet victories that don't dominate SportsCenter highlights. Games that feel ugly to watch and hard to explain if you're on the losing side. But for people who really understand this sport, these are the games that reveal truth. And the truth here couldn't be simpler. When you let a young quarterback stick around long enough, everything changes. He stops being the underdog everyone expects to fold. He stops being the easy target. He becomes the reason you lose games you thought you had won. Shedeur Sanders didn't need fireworks to make his statement that night. No incredible statistics, no viral highlight throws, no manufactured drama. He let the game come to him naturally. He trusted the game plan and his teammates. He trusted the moment, and most importantly, himself. When he walked off that field, he didn't have eye-popping numbers to brag about. He walked away with something far more valuable in this league: respect. Respect from teammates who watched him stay calm under pressure. Respect from coaches who saw him manage the game without forcing anything. And respect from the Pittsburgh Steelers, a franchise that doesn't hand out respect to just anyone. That's why this win will be remembered long-term. Not because it was loud or flashy, but because of how controlled it felt from start to finish. This was the night Shedeur Sanders proved he could win ugly when necessary. And in the AFC North, winning ugly isn't just accepted, it's respected. It's survival football. It's December football. It's how teams stay alive when conditions get brutal and expectations get overwhelming. Cleveland didn't just steal a victory. They sent a message to the entire league. A quiet message, but crystal clear. They're not done fighting. They're not packing it in for the season. They're not just playing out the schedule, waiting for vacation. They proved their defense travels anywhere. Their toughness holds up in any weather. And their quarterback doesn't need perfection to lead effectively. That matters for everything moving forward. When teams study this film, they won't just see a low-scoring game. They'll see discipline under pressure. They'll see patience when things get chaotic. They'll see a quarterback who knows how to survive without creating more problems. That's what makes teams dangerous. This wasn't about shocking the world overnight. It was about building a foundation, creating belief inside that locker room. Showing this group can handle pressure without cracking apart. And belief is incredibly powerful in this league. Shedeur Sanders is just getting started with his career. This was another important step forward. Another valuable rep. Another moment added to his growing resume. He proved he can manage high-pressure situations without shrinking. He proved big moments don't scare him. That's how successful careers get built in this league. Not with one perfect throw, but with nights exactly like this one. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button and subscribe for more deep NFL analysis and real football conversations. Drop SS 100% in the comments if you believe in Cleveland's future. We'll cover every snap of the playoffs and offseason right here. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.